Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome back. We are thirsty today, and we hope that you are happy to join us as we fun and frolic our way through some beverages. We're going to do a little taste testing. I brought beer I've discovered recently that I think you can only right now, as far as I can tell, I could go online and order it, but order or get in a variety pack, which can be a little annoying. But anyway, I did buy a variety pack today just to get these summerish beers. That'll be part of the process. Joe has promised a robust fact check, scratched out in longhand, no less. And so let's hope he can read it. That would be a hefty step forward. And of course, oh look, this opener is a Hamm's opener. Did you even know that? And I did not know that. Did you know what Mr. Hamm's first name is? Theo Hamm Beverage Company, St. Paul, Minnesota. And that's weird because I thought Hamm's was a Chicago beer. St. Paul, Minnesota. There you go. Anyway, yes, indeed. If you haven't heard this before, Joe cannot speak during the first segment. He can laugh, however, as you can tell. He's not allowed to speak, though. We only let him out of his cage, starting with the next segment, which will come your way here in a moment, and we'll be starting it off with a little taste test. We'll be doing a lot of good, fun things. We know that, but I really never know where we're going to go because I don't know what's in the fact check, and that's where we start each and every time, and that's where we start next.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
Time to spend a few minutes with my good friend Jeff Dillon from Dillon's Heating and Cooling. And Jeff, what differentiates your company from others in the industry?
Plain and simple, we're honest. We have integrity, and we're going to do things right the first time. There's way too many companies out there that lie, cheat, hide things from the homeowner or customer, and we're not about that. It's kind of funny sometimes. I actually am so honest with some people, it kind of surprises them. But sometimes it's good for business, sometimes it's bad for business. But ultimately, it's the kind of business that I want to run, is an honest one.
And that family way of treating things is part of your slogan, and it's also part of one of your great features that you offer to customers.
Our slogan is like family. Our most popular maintenance plan is called the Family Plan. It's very similar to a lot of ones out there. The little tweak that we do to ours, 1% off for every 2 years. They have a continued maintenance plan with us. If they have a maintenance plan for 10 years, then we give them 5% off, no questions asked.
You can find out more about Dillon's Heating and Cooling and all their great range of services at dillonsheatingandcooling.com. That's Dillon's with an S. The phone number, 913-214-1343. Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production, to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Vision's goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300. I'm here with Tim Emerson, the owner of Emerson & Company. And Tim, give us an idea of the range of services that you provide from Emerson & Company.
At Emerson & Company, we do credit card processing, payroll services. We do bookkeeping, merchant accounts like point-of-sale systems.
What would you say differentiates you from other companies in the field, and what makes you special?
I think what makes us unique is that we're a small local business making regional decisions on companies. We create a profile for the business and then put it out to our different vendors in a very competitive environment and tailor those needs to the specific business, which usually ends up in a great fit or great result for the company.
And of course, the idea is to save money, right?
Save money, and actually sometimes I'm surprised where actually a solution that may cost a little bit more ultimately does save money, but we're not conditioned to think like that sometimes.
Emerson & Company. Check them out at emerson-co.com or call them at 816-360-9092. We're here with Michael Barber, the CEO and founder of Microlight Corporation of America, the world leaders in laser therapy. And Michael, tell us a little bit about your product.
Our device is using a particular wavelength and power to reduce pain and swelling. My background is surgical lasers, but I've been involved with this particular device now for about the last 20 years, actually.
And I know that it works because I've had it
There
used
you go.
on me as well. And tell us about the relationship you have with your company and Canaway.
It's what I call a strategic business relationship in that Canaway, the leader in the field of the cannabinoid systems and CBD oil, but our device used in conjunction with Canaway CBD oil gives a better pain relief outcome for the patient.
And if you want to get that pain relief outcome like I did, you can reach their local representative, Sherry McCants, at 515-208-6312. That's 515-208-6312. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkScale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Well, you can kind of hear it.
We'll see. We'll see in
We're
the editing
back.
process whether I can boost it. That was kind of a soft opening, as it
Soft
were.
opening. So, Danny, that Hams opener is from friend of the podcast, Mr. Brian Miller, Dr. Brian Miller, who, after we discussed hams on the podcast, he found that in a flea market. So that is real deal antique.
It looks old school. It does. Hence the fact that it's not really that great an opener.
Again, it's got a church key on the
But
one
it's
side.
It's a cool opener, yeah, for back when you actually did that to open beer, I think, or
Yeah.
who's to say, or pineapple juice or whatever is your want.
Here, I got to open my beer. You got to fill while I grab this thing.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll describe what we're going to be drinking. I am a fan of the New Belgium. What's the Fat Tire's New Belgium. And I'm not that big a fan of Fat Tire, actually, but I like many of the beers that
You tossed me that opener?
Sure,
Apparently
buddy.
I don't have one.
thought you did.
I thought I did too.
All right. Well, anyway, I am a fan of the New Belgium. We had some. We had my in-laws. Well, my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law. Those aren't in-laws, I guess. Per se. They are, but they're you kind of usually. If I said in-laws, you'd think it was parental. It's not. So. Anyway, I bought a variety pack of New Belgium because I like New Belgium beer, and one of these is called Heavy Melon.
Well,
And-
I opened it,
yes.
and it's quite fragrant upon opening.
All right, here we go.
You ready?
You go first.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. It's melon.
I thought it was a beer that had it did have a fruit taste that you can tell, but I didn't find it overwhelming.
So, it's reminiscent, to me, of a Zima with a watermelon Jolly Rancher in it.
That's not high praise, I wouldn't say.
You know, you talked about how we
Is
were going
Zima
to
still around?
It's got to be, right?
I don't know. I never see it, and it was a thing for a while.
God, I don't want to disappoint you because you brought this beer special.
You don't really like it.
I got to tell you, we talked about how we got to get a beer we don't like from time to time.
Well, there you go.
I mean, I'll drink it. It's not
Right.
like I'm pouring it out,
Right.
right? And I think that, like, pour out level is 3 and below is what I was going to think, right?
Yeah, I would say.
Because then we've got some variants for how bad is
Well,
it.
we got a big variance here because I love this beer.
I'm going to go 4.2
Ooh.
on this heavy melon.
Whoa. Well, I'm going to have another sip. You've really disappointed me here. I'm sorry. But
What's your alcohol by volume on this thing?
only 5.
5, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Not enjoying it, huh?
Oh, Danny. What do you got on that?
I really like that heavy melon, so I'm going to go 7.6.
Oh, wow.
And I probably would have gone higher if you didn't hate.
Don't let me.
4.2, that means you kind of hate it.
I got to tell you, dude, I don't really like watermelon.
Oh, well, well, that's going to hurt. Well, I should have probably done a little research. So you don't like watermelon?
No.
Oh, well, that's going to hurt. So listeners, prerequisite here, you do have to like watermelon.
That would help.
Yeah. Well, okay. You know what? Don't finish it. I'll finish the damn thing. You can.
I'm
move
already
on.
halfway through it, buddy.
Okay. You're gonna drink it. You don't like suffer.
Oh, no, it's part of the deal.
I don't want
buddy.
you doing that.
Hey, I don't need you wussing out on any of the beers I buy because
Okay,
you're gonna not like one at some point.
Well, probably. That's. You know, the only old style maybe, and a couple other times have I think I've told this
Yeah,
story
you just
before.
gave away the rest of the
I
12
gave it was a
pack.
12-pack. Yeah, I gave away the rest of it when I was in college. I mean, it's bad. So
I don't know. I could probably find you. Maybe there's not a beer Danny doesn't like.
chili beer, if you could
chili
find
beer?
that still.
Yeah, that's
That was
right.
the one that stopped
We
me in the
talked
beer
about
of
that.
foam.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, it's fact check time, Danny.
All right, sounds
You
good.
ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's start with the.
Sorry, I'm going to have another delicious sip of
Let's
heavy
start
melon.
with the cinematic masterpiece, Police Academy. Okay.
Okay. You know, all I'll have to say about no, I won't. All I'll have to say, as I said last time, I watched the first one. It was okay, but I had no interest in seeing any more. And when one of the key elements of the Police Academy films is that Winslow guy who does
Exactly, with his noises.
with his noises. Not, I mean, it's all right. It's funny when for like one, maybe it's like a heavy melon. Maybe I'll only enjoy this once or twice, and he's kind of funny.
We saw that guy live one
in
time.
a tiny dose. Was he funny?
No. But he was impressive.
Right.
It was like us and 22 other people.
This isn't the same thing, but let me ask you this: there are a couple of still very, very popular ones out there. I don't like ventriloquists at all. At all. What's the one? Dunham? Something?
Danny, we are on the same page here. Okay? Get out of town. You need a puppet? You need a puppet to be funny? Like you're the straight man and your puppet's the funny one? Get out of here.
Yeah, I don't. The art of the ventriloquism can be impressive, or it can not be. Depends. But the funniest thing, I think we've
nothing
talked.
worse than a bad
I think we've talked about
ventriloquist.
this before. One of the most famous ventriloquists of all time is Edgar Bergen, who is Candace Bergen's father.
We haven't talked about this.
I think we did, but it doesn't really matter whether we did or not. And his puppet was Charlie McCarthy, and he was an old-time. Joe is, by the way, folks, Joe is putting down, probably not to
can't
finish
do
the
it.
heavy melon, but I didn't know you didn't like melon. So, and you know what? I am unashamed to wipe the top of the bottle.
Danny, I'm sorry.
That's all right. You don't have to be sorry. Anyway, the back.
tried.
The back. Well, if you didn't like watermelon, I'm not surprised.
Candace Bergen,
Right, her father was
we're talking, that's Murphy Brown.
right.
Okay.
So her father was like one of the most popular men in old-time radio.
Okay.
His show was incredibly popular, and his puppet was Charlie McCarthy. I'm about 99% sure that's the case.
Okay.
Well, when you saw him later in life, he was on there with Charlie McCarthy. He's a pretty bad ventriloquist, as far as the actual act of it. You could tell what he was when he was talking, but that was really not that important because he was on the radio.
Yeah, what is that even? Doesn't even make any
I know.
sense.
It doesn't make any sense at all. At all. None.
It's a visual thing.
Right. So anyway, tell us about Police Academy.
Anyway, they made 6 of them in the 1980s, and they made a 7th in 1994.
Did Steve Guttenberg hang with that the whole time?
No.
Oh, good for him.
There was only 3 people that did, and Winslow was one of them.
Well, not surprising.
Okay. It made the fact check because most of the time when I look at the Wikipedia page for a movie, it's like pretty praising of the movie, right?
Right. Otherwise, it probably wouldn't have a Wikipedia page.
The Wikipedia page for Police Academy is not nice to Police Academy.
Wow. Did they even sort of say that the first one was okay? Or?
No, they mentioned that it made some money. It made like $128 million or something.
That's some money. Probably didn't cost that much to make.
Yeah, but it compares it to a series of movies that was from was in Britain at the time, and basically calls it a ripoff and that it's slapstick physical comedy. And anyway,
Right.
they were nice about it. But here's the thing: the only other thing is that Gutenberg in 2018 said there was a new one in the works.
Well, mercifully, maybe the coronavirus has spared us that. And Steve Gutenberg's kind of an interesting guy because, I mean, he became a monstrous star.
Yeah.
We talked about Diner, my favorite movie, and many people in that movie became a star, and they had much more staying power as actors like Kevin Bacon and Mickey Rourke and Alan Barkin and Daniel Stern and on. But no star shone brighter for a short period of time than the Goot. I mean, he made huge movies.
So
And then he just disappeared and I remember seeing him in he was the dad in a Disney soccer movie.
Oh yeah, no, he's
Yeah, he's kind of been.
If I'm the Goot, I'm trying to bring Police Academy back.
Probably, yeah.
We talked about your guilty pleasure band being 38 Special, and you had said that the lead singer's name was Danny Barnes.
No, Donnie Barnes.
Donnie Barnes is his name, or Don Barnes. Although
I never would have said it was Danny Barnes.
You did, and then you said, I can't believe I'm getting the name wrong.
Well, okay.
Like you knew you were getting it wrong.
Wrong, yeah.
Okay, but the Wikipedia page says that Donnie Van Zant is the lead singer of 38 Special.
That's not. I mean, he may have sung a couple of songs here and there. I mean, they shared singing.
They did.
And Donnie Barnes eventually became. I mean, he's the only one now who is, when they tour around and go to state fairs and everything, he's the only original member.
Okay.
Although when I saw them at John Knox Village, which was probably about 2007. Donnie Van Zant was still in the band, and he had to retire because of an ear problem.
Yeah, that's what it said in 2017. He had to step aside.
And he is part of the famous Van Zant family.
Yeah,
The
which
Lynyrd
I didn't
Skynyrd.
realize until last week when you started talking about it, and then I put two and two together. That's Lynyrd Skynyrd Van Zant.
Mm-hmm. Boy, that heavy melon's good.
So, okay, we talked about the size of televisions. In 1983 specifically. And I found a fantastic site that breaks it down by year. Okay?
Very nice.
So in 1983, in what is today's dollars, $1,150, back then $500, you were really keeping up with the Joneses if you got a 25-inch TV.
Wow.
On the podcast last time,
had they gone yet to the big honking big back TV at that point?
No, it didn't look like it. This was still just tube. And it said that last time I had said 28-inch and you had said 26-inch. So you're closer. So you win.
I win. We both violated Price is Right rules, didn't we?
We both went over? Yeah, that's right. So, but the LCD screen was also invented in 1983. And so, I mean, it took a long time for it to be cheap enough to, give us gigantic TVs.
A couple of years ago, I had still used one of those big back TVs downstairs in my workout area, and my neighbor and I had to take it out of the basement, and it almost killed us. I mean, it's an awkward way to go up these little stairs from the basement anyway, and it was bad. I mean, that is heavy, man.
I wish you guys could see the look in Danny's eyes because he got this 30-yard stare.
Well, the worst part is my neighbor is older than I am, considerably older.
Is that possible?
But he's a very helpful man, and he was on the upside. I was down below.
Oh, okay.
And I was watching, the sweat start popping. I'm like, this guy's going to have a heart attack, and I'm not going to feel very good about this in any way, shape, or form.
How'd you get rid of the TV? Somebody come and get it off the curb, or?
I don't remember now. I think they don't even take TVs at the charity places anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they get so many. Nobody wants those. You can't take it to Goodwill, or they won't take them.
Did I ever tell you I worked at Goodwill in high school?
I don't think we mentioned that.
So we would get bowling balls.
Oh, really?
Okay, and they wouldn't let us put bowling balls out on the floor. And so we'd save them for when we got TVs that didn't work, because we'd have to test everything before we put it out on the floor.
Oh.
So then we would take the TVs and put them in the dumpster, And then we would take the bowling balls that we had saved and we would throw them at the TVs and they'd explode, those old tube TVs.
Wow.
Oh, it was so much fun. They also wouldn't let us put 8-tracks out on the floor. So we saved some hockey sticks, and it was like a big, long, open warehouse with dumpsters at one end that were like open, like where you back a trailer up to. So we would set the 8-tracks up and slapstick them into the dumpster across the warehouse.
Nice.
Gosh, it was such a fun job. I'm telling you, it was a fun job. Okay, we talked about Nick Nolte last time. This dude, accomplished actor. Okay?
Yes.
3-time Academy Award nominee, all right? Mm-hmm. In 1992, he was voted the sexiest man alive, all right, in People magazine. Now, here's the deal. I had said he was in Point Break, and he was the Utah 2 guy. It wasn't him. It's Gary Busey.
Okay.
So I get Gary Busey and Nick Nolte mixed up.
That's unfortunate for Nick Nolte.
I get those two mixed up all the time. Anyway,
Although Gary Busey just should always be remembered fondly for doing an unbelievable job playing Buddy Holly.
Oh, yeah, he did great in that.
I mean, just poured himself completely into it, and he sang, and that was.
Yeah, and he actually sang.
Yeah, he did.
Which is cool.
Right, absolutely.
Speaking of guys that didn't actually sing, we talked about Lou Diamond Phillips. Okay, and I didn't get the name right.
What did you say?
I called him La Bamba because that's what me and my friends call him.
Right.
Okay, we were talking about the Outsiders, and I thought he was in the Outsiders. He wasn't. Everybody else that I listed was, including all of those big stars. But La Bamba was not in there. But Ralph Macchio was, and I forgot to mention Ralph Macchio.
Well, he would have been the Lou Diamond Phillips. So. I mean, aren't they the same guy?
Exactly. Easily confused, okay? Okay, so we were talking about the Pony Express, and we were talking about how they bought...
Pony Express makes another appearance.
We're talking about how they bought little horses, and I was like, wouldn't a bigger horse go faster? Turns out not true. Bigger horses don't go faster necessarily. So I looked that up. I don't know.
There must be some sort of a middle ground where a powerful horse is going to go fast, but it's
about
too big.
Stride length.
Aha.
Yeah, it's less about the size of the horse, more about the stride length, which I thought was cool. All right. We tried a beer last time from Defiance Brewery. Mm-hmm. And friend of the podcast, Chip, sent me a text when he listened to it. They're from Hayes, Kansas.
Well, hallelujah.
How about that?
That's pretty cool.
Didn't even know they were local. So anyway, had to get that out of the way. We talked about Ultimate Frisbee.
Yes.
And is there a pro league? There's not.
Really? So what they show is not professional?
There's a semi-pro league.
Okay.
It's the AUDL. It's the American Ultimate Disc League. Started in 2012. Not professional, buddy. All right, we got two more.
Well, if it's semi-professional, there must be some money involved. Otherwise, it'd just be amateur.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
What's
the difference between pro and semi-pro?
Maybe some of the people, maybe only a few of the people get paid, or I don't know. I don't know what the difference is.
Or they got to have jobs. I'll tell you what, Semi-Pro is a great movie. That's a Will Ferrell flick. You seen that where he's got the basketball team in the?
Did not see it.
Oh my god!
No, but I heard it was actually pretty funny.
It's not bad, and it's got a lot of that. Oh gosh, what's even the name of the league? It's bothering me. Before the NBA, that they merged.
The ABA.
Yeah. Okay. So it's an ABA team, and he's got all of these crazy promotions and everything. Like bring a bear out onto the court and all this. He's a player coach. You got to see it, Diddy. Okay.
By the way, the ABA by the end, I mean, they ended up taking a few of the teams in. They didn't really merge. It was more like...
And that's the plot of the movie. They're trying to win so that they can make it into the NBA.
Right. And there were some damn good players in the ABA because it did provide a place for players. Players got big money. They got bigger money than to go to the NBA. That's probably the thing that ended up sinking the league, just like the WFL or something like that back in the day, or USFL.
Yeah.
But like Julius Erving played in there, and Artis Gilmore, and I mean all kinds of great players were there, and there were some extremely good teams. Kentucky Colonels, Denver Nuggets. I'm surprised the Kentucky Colonels did not come into the NBA.
Weren't the Spurs?
Maybe that's probably who they are. Actually,
yeah,
they must have. So. Yes, they must have eventually become the Spurs.
That's interesting because we've got all this stuff going on with amateurism and the Supreme Court and all that, right? And all these sports have a monopoly, right? And that's one of the reasons that, like, the USFL didn't work, right? I mean, they were paying more money, but then the NFL was able to. Wasn't there a legal thing that?
Well, I think the big problem for the USFL, and you can, I think, fact check this, is the fact that they did spend all this money to try and get the player, and then they overspent. I think that's part of it, and also the NFL is a powerful entity.
Even then,
and if you weren't, an incredibly successful franchise, and I don't think any of the franchises drew fantastic. There were some really good teams. I mean, Jim Kelly played in that league, and Steve Young. And,
wasn't Donald Trump an owner of a?
Yes, the New Jersey Generals.
Boy, if that just would have worked out, maybe we all could have been spared. Okay. All right. We got two more, buddy. And they're both famous people. Van Morrison. Yes. I mistakenly said he killed a guy last time.
I don't remember you saying he killed a guy.
Because we were talking about him being a dick.
Well, I did. Yes, that's well chronicled.
But what I was thinking, which is true, by the way.
Right.
Big dick. I don't know if he has one. I'm just saying he's
he
a jerk.
Is one.
Right, yeah. But what I was thinking of was the story that his guitarist was murdered. He was beat to death right before Astral Weeks was recorded. And he was beat to death by a man who wanted to be his lover.
Nice.
And so I was thinking
was
about...
Was the guitarist straight?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that's a problem.
I was thinking about that story, and I was getting that mixed up with Jerry Lee Lewis, who definitely killed at least one of his wives. Do you know those stories?
Yeah, vaguely.
You have to look that up. Maybe that might make it a future fact check. All right. We talked about Ric Flair. All right. Woo! Because you made that noise.
He doesn't have much woo left in the tank right now.
No. But, we talked about him a year ago, at least, on the podcast. And I don't think I ever fact-checked this and told you this crazy interesting story about Ric Flair. Okay? He was born in Memphis, Tennessee. All right? And he was born in 1949. And in 1949 in Memphis, Tennessee, there was a lady by the name of Georgia Tann. Have you ever heard of Georgia Tann?
No.
She is the mother of modern adoption. So at the time, adoption wasn't really a thing. And unfortunately, this monster, Georgia Tann, invented it.
Oh, so this wasn't a benevolent enterprise.
No. It turned into what it is today. It grew out of this. But she would literally run ads in newspapers and magazines advertising babies for sale. And she would go into the hospitals in Memphis, Tennessee, and she would trick unwed mothers, really poor mothers, into signing this paperwork, and it was them signing their baby away, and they would steal the baby away. Ooh. Ric Flair was one of those babies.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that crazy?
So did Ric Flair ever find out who his mom was?
I don't know. I doubt it, because they would destroy all the records.
Wow. And
so it's a really, really interesting story, and I there's a great podcast called Behind the Bastards, and there's one on Georgia Tann, and it's fantastic. It dives deep into it, and how she pulled this off. She became a very rich woman selling other people's babies. It's crazy, dude. And Ric Flair was one of them.
Boy, well, that sounds like one of those things where you say, there's a special place in hell.
There is,
hotter.
In the Mount Rushmore in hell, if there was one, Georgia Tann would be on.
She sounds like a good candidate, that's for sure.
And that, sir, is the most depressing way we've ever finished a fact check.
Well, but we're laughing. We're laughing at hey, Ric Flair turned himself into a great success.
Hey,
it's a great success story. Woo! I went to professional wrestling one time. My friend Adam, who was seemingly a man of sound mind, and we went to I forget what the actual name of the arena was, but the arena in Utica, New York, and it was a televised. It was really painful because they stopped. It was like a TV show.
Yeah, I went to one at the Sprint Center.
And they stopped and started,
yes.
and it was interminable. And I didn't really want to be there anyway.
What
So-
I found interesting is they only had fans like 12 rows up on like, I don't know, a third of around the thing, and all the cameras were on that side.
Well, this place was banged out. I mean, it was sold out at,
So they're
probably
like,
5.
the Sprint Center's rocking tonight. And there's like 6,000 of us in there.
Well, there were 6,000. That was the problem. They were in the Sprint Center. The arena I was in had held maybe 5,000, and it was full. So
Well, yeah, I took my...
I just never have understood the appeal to like to somebody like yourself who's a man, a thoughtful fellow. And what who's going to win? You know who's going to lose? It's all fake.
I don't watch it now.
I know, but I don't even because like Adam then was a full-grown, intelligent man.
Yeah.
About 25, 26 years old, and he really liked it.
Oh, I took my little brother, like Big Brother's Big Sister's little brother, and his friends to it, and the tickets were free. There was not,
but
we
there
watched
were
it in
people
high
just
school.
like that, who I mean, I'm not talking about just jugheads who,
My dad argued with me until I was 23 years old that it was real.
well,
He goes,
It was-
well, sometimes it's fake, but
I mean, there clearly was an art to doing it. I'm not saying that, but and we've talked before about the fact. I mean, it did eventually morph into completely fake. At one time, it wasn't completely fake.
really?
Oh yeah, because I remember I told my actual grandfather.
Oh, that's right.
Was a professional wrestler.
Gosh.
And
You
and
know why
so-
you like hanging out with me? Because I'm good at forgetting your stories.
it's like my wife. I can tell I can recycle many stories, and I've got many. So, you remember I told you about the? No, but damn if she can. We had a little tiff, not a tiff, but a kind of a chuckling disagreement the other day. Because she asked me, first of all, she got the thing all wrong. She said that La Bodega, where we went the other day for brunch, had for a time switched over to being the Boulevard. And then it went back to La Bodega, which turned out to be completely false. And she was thinking about the Boulevard Brewing Company, whatever. And so what is remarkable with my wife, she loves to eat. She really, food is a thing for her. I mean, it really is one of life's pleasures.
Okay.
For me, it's been sustenance, and I don't eat that much, and I've had to keep my weight down. So it really has never been. But now, because I don't eat, I eat lunch as my major meal. I cherish that meal, love it. Had a wonderful octopus dish at La Bodega the other day. It was awesome. Anyway, but she can remember. We have traveled a lot through the years and whatever. She'll say, "You remember that little bakery we went to in Des Moines?"
Oh, yeah.
17 years before. She remembers like every place we ever ate.
She can't remember one of your stories.
Right, exactly. Well, on that note, we will return for more fun and frivolity, a truly robust fact check, and another. We found our first beer that we had a serious disagreement on, but there was an asterisk there. I did not know you did not like melon. So we have another summer beer here, but we'll save that for another time, and we will return next.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here once again with Dr. Brad Woodle from Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. Springtime, good weather's finally here. People want to stay active, and it's your job to make sure that they can stay active, and be healthy.
Danny, we see a lot of not just weekend warriors, but people that every day are having that want to get back to activity. Whether you're starting with walking, jogging, or maybe that first 5K of the year, we want to help you out. We specialize in taking care of all ages, from kids all the way to grandmas and grandpas, but absolutely specialize in getting you back to full function and keeping you in great shape.
So in short, how do we go about doing that?
The first thing is to schedule a consultation with one of our doctors and therapists so we can see how you move and how you're supposed to move. Based on our assessment, we can put together a short treatment plan and a set of goals to help you both feel better, function better, and most importantly, stay better for this year and many years to come.
Learn more at asfca.com/Danny. That's asfca.com/Danny. Most of us have experienced auto accidents, and it's no fun. And even less fun is trying to work on the insurance aspects afterwards and getting full value after an auto accident. I'm here with David Cowan from WreckExpert.com. And David, you have an unusual and important niche for people after an auto accident.
We have a passion to teach car wreck clients what they deserve. Getting your car repaired only fixes the damage and the paint. Getting paid for your car's loss in value is called diminished value. Chances are you've never heard of this before because most people aren't looking out for you. We help people collect thousands to tens of thousands of dollars for their car's loss in value after the wreck.
And if somebody wants to come to you for that, what's the original assessment cost them?
We offer a free review of any insurance claim to see how we can help.
You can't beat that. Great expertise and assistance in getting full value after an auto accident from David Cowan. Visit WreckExpert.com and learn more.
Hey everyone, this is Matt Llewellyn for the 23rd Street Brewery. Thank you so much for supporting local restaurants, especially through this pandemic. And you know what? We're almost through it. At the 23rd Street Brewery, we have brought in a few more tables. You can wear a mask if you want, or not. It's your choice. Other than that, we're open 11:30 every single day. So come see us at the 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence.
Let's have a brief conversation with David Schmidt from Pro Millennial. David, what differentiates you from other financial organizations?
I would say the passion we have for seeing our clients succeed is probably paramount to what we do here. There's no joy greater than watching a client accumulate wealth. I had a client that I've had for many years was able to buy his dream warehouse. Nothing too extravagant, but we had a savings plan in place and was able to see him fulfill his dreams.
And what else motivates you in this industry?
Well, lately it's been finding out inconsistencies in the marketplace, ferreting out some more than questionable ideas out there that what we're seeing with Bitcoin and a few of these other cryptocurrencies right now. I'm in the opinion where if it's untraceable, it really needs to be regulated in a big way right now.
To get more information and advice from David, visit ProMillennial.com or call 816-221-7775. That's 816-221-7775.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyClinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Oh, double-barreled fun. We have just opened the Coop Ale Works Horny Toad Blonde. And Coop Ale Works, we figured out where this is?
I didn't even look.
Okay, Ale Works in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Coop Ale Works, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. It's described as crisp and clean. Horny Toad is a premium blonde ale with a hint of noble hop bitterness to balance the two-row and Pilsner malt body. Joe seems to be a fan. I have yet to sip it. I, of course, have to take the tab off first. And here we go.
Gotta get that tab out of the way.
Solid.
You go first. I went first last time.
Solid. It's not that flavorful. It's kind of just for something that had that.
Yeah, it sure looks like it's gonna be.
And that description is something that's like it's going to be sort of a, to use the same word again, but it's going to have a lot of flavor.
Yeah,
and it does not.
Correct.
It's almost until the finish. I don't want to sound like an idiot wine connoisseur.
Yeah,
here,
you do sound like a.
But until the finish, it was almost like a Coors Light.
Mm-hmm.
But then the finish is a little hoppy.
Yeah.
I'm just going solid here. I'll give it a 5.8.
Oh my God, that's the exact same number I was thinking. No way. That's exactly where I was. That's weird. That's weird, Danny. There's 100 different numbers and we chose the same. Dude, the aftertaste is just like a bad wine. It's like yeasty.
I actually kind of like the aftertaste because I'm like, oh, it's beer.
Well, I like the front end of it because it's just going down like water.
Right. Well, it is. I mean, it's the first part of your swallow is like it's a light.
Not bad.
It's like it's a light beer.
Yeah.
And it's not like Miller Lite or something.
I'm not trying to crap on them. Maybe they got a good beer, but this is not.
No, this is just.
This is a buy once.
Yeah, that there's no. I'm not racing for.
There's no rebuy.
Yeah, no, Coop Ale Works did not jump up because you have a lesion in that same six-pack.
I know, we really
and that's a good company.
Really screwed up.
But it was supposed to be a blood orange, and we just did a fruity one. So.
Yeah, there's no way those are making it 2 weeks. So,
yep,
we might have to send one home with you. Hey, you know what I forgot last week to talk about on the music thing? I just didn't even mention Bob Dylan's name, and I just have to say, I know there's 100 it could be, but I gotta at least just say I'm sorry that I didn't mention that. Like, Bob Dylan's the man.
Well,
I don't know how it didn't make my list.
I think I've explained maybe in another platform of this one. Yeah, I did. I read an article, a little article about. No, I think I did it on my music podcast. I get this thing in my inbox called the Quora Digest, and it's just a question is asked, and somebody who's a connoisseur of that subject answers it. And that doesn't mean they're an expert or anything. But anyway, so this guy gets a question. He says, name some of the top Bob Dylan covers.
Okay.
Well, the answer was so long, I stopped eventually. I mean, he must have gone, I was at least 60 deep.
Yeah. You mean other people that are covering Bob Dylan songs?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Dude,
I mean, and many that I had never heard of. Of course, many that I had, like All Along the Watchtower, etc. But
I get together and
this guy was clearly totally evangelical about Bob Dylan, and it was going on and on. And at first, I'm like, this is pretty darn interesting. And I'm like, okay.
Well, I get together every 2 weeks with this group of guys older than you. They're in their 70s, and we sit around and we play guitar. And just one guy says what we're going to play, and then we all just play along with him. Like, I'll bring a 12-string, or another guy brings a mandolin, I'll bring my harmonicas. It's just fun. It's a little jam session, right? And one of the guys has got every damn Bob Dylan song in the history of Bob Dylan memorized. I mean, this guy plays songs I've never even heard of, right. Off of some obscure, and I fancy myself a pretty big Dylan fan. And I thought that was interesting. And the other thing that happened in the interim is a friend of mine sent me a YouTube video, and I sent that to you, right, of Bob Dylan?
I'm not
playing, and his on-stage presence is so cocky. He's like so just cock-strong and just looks like he kind of looks like a shithead, like the kind of guy you don't want to mess with, and I never thought of him that way, like as a cocky rock star type, right? But that's really what he was, because the dude knows he's a badass,
Right, and I think he is somebody who had a keen business sense also in his life.
Yeah.
And, I think he's kind of considered sort of, artistic, folksy, whatever. I mean, he had a real idea of what he wanted to do from the standpoint of, in fact, his name isn't even Bob Dylan, for one.
How do you come up with, what would your rock star name be, Danny?
He actually had, I read something about this the other day, probably in Quora Digest. He had another name he was going to be, and I can't remember what it was, but then he stumbled across Dylan Thomas, the poet, and thought that sounded a little more what people would expect from him. So, although he was always trying to not fit into people's expectations.
Yeah, he didn't want to be he always said he didn't want to be the spokesman of a generation. That's not me. I didn't.
Right. But he kind of was.
Which is one of the things that's cool, is that he wasn't out there trying to be Captain, Captain hippie leader.
He didn't want to be Joan Baez.
There you go. Thank you. That was a good pull there for you, buddy.
Thank you.
I tried to look up if gambling has the reason why instant replay is such a big deal, and I couldn't find a whole lot on it. I did find a lot on if you have a gambling addiction, which, I don't know if that says something about my browser history or if that's just a real problem. But, I did book a trip to Vegas. I'm going out to Vegas in August.
And is this a guy's trip or
It's a work It's a work trip.
Oh, okay.
Which means you can write it off.
There you go.
It's going to be fun,
Is there like a roofing convention?
Yes,
there?
There's the roofing convention out there. So we're going to go do a little...
Not that you're a roofer.
We're going to... I think the secret's out. We're going to do a little conventioning out there, We're staying at Caesars.
Right.
It's going to be. I've never stayed at Caesars. Are you a Vegas guy? You are. We've talked about this.
No, I'm not really a Vegas guy, but I used to go to Vegas every year when UMKC,
for the sports. Yeah,
UMKC was playing in southern Utah.
So I've been to Vegas.
I've been to a Super Bowl. I've been there on Super Bowl Sunday, and I'm not I was there for the Bears Colts Super Bowl when the Colts won.
Dog with fleas.
Right, that wasn't a great game. No.
Who was a quarterback for the Bears? It was.
It was. This is ridiculous that I can't think of his name.
I can see his face.
This is dumb. We need to move on. The fact that we both are not going to get it, and we'll get it. Get it subsequently. It's bad. It's bad podcasting.
God.
Rex Grossman.
There it is, Rex Grossman.
Thank you. I would have felt very bad if we.
That sack of interceptions.
Right. People are screaming at whatever device they're listening to this on. But I did bet on the Colts, and I did win some money.
Hey. I might do a little sports gambling while I'm out there, a little NFL futures.
Well, that's one of the reasons people, I wonder how, Vegas is never going to struggle, but I wonder how they'll be impacted by nationwide sports betting.
Yeah, for real.
Because people used to do their fantasy NFL draft there.
Yeah, you go on a trip just to put it
in your futures.
Yeah, I won like $800 on the Astros the year they won the NL.
Or won just the NL? Or
yeah, just the NL.
You mean when they lost to the Dodgers?
It's got to be. Yeah, this was back in...
when they lost to the Nationals.
17?
Well, 17 was
or 16?
The year.
No, 17?
17's the year they won, I think. I'm an Astros fan.
Come on,
They won one and they lost one.
It was the year they lost it, whichever one that was.
Well, I went out there. That was 19.
Okay, then it was 90. That's the last time I was in Vegas then. Thanks for helping me figure that out. So,
won in 17, lost in 19, I believe.
And I was probably out there in 18 when I placed the bet. But they'll mail you the check.
Yeah, I knew they would do that.
Yeah, you'd mail your ticket in, they mail you the check. It's wild.
Right, but it's got to have some impact. They'll make it up. They obviously have created an environment. So we've had a bad day at the office with it. Now you're grimacing at the Horny Toad. I'm not. There's just not enough negative here.
Gosh, there's something in there.
It's not. It's not great, but it's not. There's no real negative.
I'll tell you we got a couple of opportunities here for the post show.
We got to be improving the issue.
Hey, you know what was the other night was the home run derby.
Yes, it was.
Okay, so I watched it with my son.
So was one of these furious people who was mad that Salvi got the snub.
Well, here's the funny thing is he's just getting into baseball. Okay,
right.
They're going into kid pitch. He's taking pitching lessons from Jamie Bluma, who's doing great for him, and which I golfed with Jamie Bluma the other day, and you know how they say baseball pitchers are good at golf.
I've heard that he's not good.
About 5 holes in.
I played in tournaments that he's been in, but I've never played with Jamie.
About 5 holes in, I looked at him and I go, man, I thought you were a pitcher, man. I thought you'd be better at this.
Well,
he's fun though.
Oh, he's a
riot.
Really fun guy. Well, I hardly get to play anymore, and I did play twice within the last week or so, and I was just
how'd you shoot?
Awful. I shot a 91 and an 89, and that's just horrendous for me.
See, I would save that ball, put it on the shelf. So,
and probably the first one was a little and I played in a tournament with good players. Now, thankfully, the format made me somewhat irrelevant, although I could have helped. So it was, it was bad. And then, of course, on the 18th hole, I played the hardest hole on the golf course, and I played it fabulously. So I'm like, okay, it's all right. I'll come back.
Keeps you coming back, doesn't it?
And then I came back, and I wasn't very good again.
So anyway, my son sits down to watch home run derby with me, and here comes what's his name from the Mets?
Pete Alonso.
Got to come up there and murder 35 balls. And I had my son come in just when Salvi came up because he's young enough. He's not really that interested in it yet, but I want to get him watching it. And so he sees Alonso go crazy.
Right.
And then here comes Salvi, and they talk to Alonso the whole time. And Salvi hits like 27 or something.
28, yep.
Yeah, and my son's like, well, Salvi's terrible. And I'm like, he said more than anybody else has.
Right,
And then when I
except
explained
for
it to him,
Alon.
he's like, well, that's not fair. And I'm like, well.
Well, the format is what the format is, and I think part of it is the fact that, there are different circumstances within the game. If the other guy's going crazy, you're probably going to have more incentive, go faster, whatever. I think that part of now clearly they wanted to talk to Pete Alonso because he plays for the Mets. Obviously, that's a big part of it.
100%.
But also, he had just hit 35, which
Correct.
ups the ante, and so I thought that they figured, well, this round is over. And, we'll put I mean, it's not like they didn't show Salvi. They showed him hitting every home run and whatever. And he started off bad, too.
I'll tell you what, Alonso looked like he was on crank. Did you see it? His pupils were like the size of, dinner plates. Right. And he's just like, the whole time.
That's kind of his personality. But I am not in any way saying that it's not possible.
I'm not saying he's on crank. I'm saying he looked like he was on crank. But I get it. And I had not opened my Twitter in months because I've gotten basically off of social media, and except for work. And I opened up Twitter and I saw what you're referring to.
Oh,
just the outcry.
People were furious.
Oh, and some of the people who were furious, and some of you might know who I'm talking about, that the people that want to talk about personal responsibility and bootstraps are the people that are just whining and crying about, it's like, come on already. Can we just stop crying?
How unimportant is this really? And some of it, and I knew it was going to happen, but I had synced up my DVR and the radio because I wanted to hear the radio announcers. I like John Shambi.
Oh, okay.
I like Tim Kirkchin. They were on the radio doing the call. I like Chris Singleton also. And I think they just have a nice vibe. And so I didn't even hear the thing, but interview with Pete Alonso. But I saw that he was on that long. I'm like, oh, the Kansas City people are going to be furious. It's flyover country, East Coast bias, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's so insignificant in the real world. Salvi's going to be fine. They interviewed him later.
I thought Salvi came across as very, as if he can do anything but come across as very likable and gracious. He's like that big old smile, and he's like, what am I supposed to do,
he really is like a big kid when you're around him.
Is he really?
Yeah, very much so.
So that TV...
no, Salvi's like that. He's a big goofball.
Okay.
He's just a big, genuine goofball.
He's just a good dude.
Yes. The only thing that, it's not even a negative thing. He just eventually wore out Lorenzo Cain. They had lockers next to him. He was constantly faking like he was videoing him or was videoing him with his phone. And eventually Lorenzo Cain had enough of it, And
okay, Salvi really is just like your buddy that never got out of 8th grade.
That is a perfect description. That's absolutely what he's like. Everything that from developing the Gatorade dump and everything else. He's like a big.
It's cool to know that that's not fake.
Now, no, not fake at all.
It would wear thin after a time. I've got some friends that never got out of 8th grade, and we're not hanging out every day.
Right. Well,
but they're good, in the right situation.
Right. I've mentioned this before. That would wear on me, even as nice a guy as Salvi is, because I was never, I was in a lot of locker rooms, playing a lot of sports. I hated the towel snapping.
Yeah, you weren't the grab-ass guy?
No. And I didn't like it either. That. I'm not into the, good-natured ribbing.
Oh, yeah, you don't like a lot of shit-talking.
No, I'm not. I don't really want to do it either.
I'll tell you what, it gets old for me. I'm like, I can get in that for a little bit. I've got some work associates that are really into that, right? And I can get into that for a little while, but you go on a trip.
It just gets old.
3 days of it, it gets old for me too. I could probably stand it a little more than you can.
No, I'm sure, and I'm way over than the other side of it. I don't like April Fool's jokes. I don't like practical jokes.
Halloween is garbage.
No, I never minded Halloween. That's just good, clean fun to me. But throwing pumpkins. I'm never into antics like that. Smashing pumpkins, all that type of stuff.
Great band, though.
It's a good band, yeah. Yes, it is a good band. We had the Euro 2020 final.
Oh, yeah. We were going to get together, but...
It just circumstances mitigated against that, so I ended up texting along with my sister, and we synced up our DVRs there, too.
Oh, very good. You're all about syncing those DVRs.
Well, we didn't want to be ahead or behind each other just by a little, because we both started, and then somebody'd have to go to the bathroom, and they'd pause it.
So take me through this.
So then we get to the penalty kicks, and we're like, okay, we just are going to stop, because we could be 2 seconds apart. So no texting during penalty kicks.
How does the syncing of the DVR process go with Danny?
Well, you just say, okay, kickoff. I mean, that's what we did. You texted, boom. So it wasn't an exact. I don't often do this. I mean, it just so happens in the last
came up twice.
In the last week I did it twice. I don't think I've ever done it before, ever. But I kind of wanted to follow along Salvi, and I did want to hear the radio announcers more than on the ESPN app. I did use the ESPN app.
So my wife and I went out Saturday night. We got this. When you have kids and you're both kids, impromptu have a sleepover at somebody else's house.
Party on.
Oh, dude. That's like free babysitting. So it happened to us Saturday, and my wife and I looked at each other and we said, well, hell, we ought to.
So this happened like on Saturday.
Yeah, like 4 o'clock Saturday. It's like they're both gone. And we're like, well, hell, we ought to do something. And I was cleaning my truck out, and I found a gift card to, you say it's an old person restaurant, I don't know, to the Bristol. It was very delicious.
Did you? And you went to the one downtown?
Yeah, down by Power Light.
It's a lovely restaurant.
Oh, it was great. We had great service, and we went down there, and plus the food was free, which makes it better. And
well, that must have been one whopper of a gift card then.
Well, it was mostly free. And then there was a band at Power and Light, like this it was just okay country cover band. And boy, the people watching, Danny, my goodness, the people watching down there is.
Yeah, and if you've got somebody with you and you say your wife is, I know your wife but I don't, I've never been around her when you sit there and just dish on people.
Oh God, she did improv. Like she got paid to do improv at one point in her life. So she's hilarious. And we're sitting there just,
seeing different kinds of folks doing different kinds of things.
It was fun, man.
Bad dancer guy, you said. And
yes, and then we may have been overserved. I may have sent you a text message in the morning that said, "No beers for me today, buddy."
Yeah, that's right. That's why we didn't get together for the game, because we were gonna watch about 4 o'clock. And I could have. I didn't want to wait a long time because I found out the result of the England semifinal game. All right, listen to. We'll wrap up with this.
Well, that happened to me on the Germany game.
Listen to this crazy circumstance.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So I'm really excited for the semifinal game. It's going to be a great game, England-Denmark, and so I'm all day. I did an outstanding job of not knowing what the result was,
which is not as easy as it used to be.
No, especially soccer. It used to be just a
breeze.
Yeah, breeze. European. No way you could even find out. Now it's on the crawl, whatever. Yeah. Even the Premier League's on there now. So anyway, I literally have gotten to the. It's like I've done all my chores. It's like done the dishes. It's literally like 8:30. Okay, it's 8:30, and I'm about to settle down to watch the semifinal. And I had put in a request with Sporting Kansas City to do a future Kansas City profile, which will come up at some point, with Jimmy Nielsen, their former goalkeeper.
Oh, the Puma.
Right. So, and I said, hey, could you, test the temperature, see if Jimmy wants to do this, blah, blah, blah. And I don't even know why I did it, just because I had a couple other emails that were out or whatever. So anyway, I get Kurt Austin does such a wonderful job with sporting media, and I haven't even told them the story yet. So I go into my office, look at the email, and it starts, and you can see the start, and it's that Jimmy Nielsen has agreed to do the interview.
Nice.
But the body of it, which was very short, said, Jimmy's in on the interview. He's very excited about doing it, but he might be in a bad mood tomorrow after Denmark lost the game today.
Oh, no.
Because he's from Denmark.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I had
And
a
I'm
feeling
like,
that's where that
are
was
you
going.
kidding? Are you kidding? And so I watched the game. I enjoyed it, but it just wasn't quite the same.
It's not the same when you know.
No, it wasn't quite the same. So that was an unbelievable circumstance, that a bit of horrendous serendipity that really ruined the semifinal. But the final was fun. It was a good game, and I got to share it with my sister from 1,500 miles away. So that was cool, too.
Are you doing that interview over the phone, or is it going to be in person?
We're getting to the point where maybe we're getting back to in-person, but I don't know yet. We're still doing most of them on the phone.
If
and
that's
in fact,
in person, I may need some signatures.
we'll see if we get there. And by the way, to close, in case you missed it, of course, yesterday, since we're referencing soccer, it was Arts and Lifestyle Wednesday. And if you saw my social media, you'll know that I talked to Roger Bennett from the Men in Blazers, who has a new book out.
Big get.
It was really a fun interview, not that long, because his book now is the #1 New York Times bestseller.
Wow.
And it is about basically his formative years in Liverpool and how he was miserable in Liverpool, and it was a miserable place to live then, and he yearned for the pop culture of America. And it talks a lot about that, and a lot about his 16 and 17-year-old years, and coming to Chicago, and then eventually coming to America. And in 2018, he became a citizen of the United States, and it's called Reborn in the USA. So that podcast is cool, so you can catch up with that too.
Yeah, that guys, they are hilarious. If you're a soccer fan at all, you know.
Yes, they are funny, the Men in Blazers. So that's a good way to wrap things up. We have a good time. I was talking to a friend the other day from New York City.
New York City.
Friend of this podcast.
Get the rope.
The previously aforementioned Adam, a good buddy of mine, the guy who was a wrestling fan. So we've come full circle as we wrap up a crappy beer edition of Thirsty Thursdays.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
Dillon's Heating and Cooling, treating you like family with expert and affordable HVAC services.